Hey everybody, what's going on? Alan here. Welcome to the channel. And in this one, we're going to be trying to diagnose what's wrong with our friend's Honda Civic. She's just said it has a loss of power. That's all we really know. There's some check engine lights, or a check engine light, so we'll see what the codes are and start from there. It's not overheating, but sometimes it drives okay, and sometimes it falls on its face, has no power. Okay, so just started up and it's running a little rough. 10 codes. Misfire detected on 1. Two, 3, 4. Random misfire. 1, 2, 3, 4. Random misfire. Alright, so when you're getting misfires across the whole bank or the whole engine, it's probably not spark plugs or coils. It's going to most likely be something that will control that whole bank or that whole engine, like a mass airflow sensor, maybe a temperature sensor or a map sensor. Alright, so I took the air box off just to try to get more familiar with what's going on here and to inspect it. It's got a high flow K&N and it wasn't clogged. A little dusty, but it wasn't clogged. And I was trying to find all the sensors. Now we got our TPS sensor. That's probably the idle air control. You got what I think is a temp sensor. And then you've got these two. This one I think is probably our map, our manifold absolute pressure sensor. Yep, says it right on it. And then this one, I don't know what this one is. I think that's just some sort of like solenoid to help coolant go through. So that might not be even an issue. But I unplugged them all and like wiggled them and plugged them back in, and the injector plugs and the coil plugs. I cleaned off these ground wires here and the bolts and the threads and the surfaces and sanding them off. So let's start it up and then we'll get the live data going and see if we can see anything abnormal. Still feels like it has a miss. Alright, well, I don't really know what I'm reading on that thing. Short-term fuel trim seems a little high, but we can tell out here that one cylinder's definitely dead. So, do the old trick here. I think that's the one. It's not doing anything. That definitely got worse. That definitely got worse. And that definitely got worse. But this isn't doing anything. Alright, so what we'll do is switch it with the one next to it and then do the unplug trick and see if it's the cylinder or the coil. Alright, I switched them. Let's start it up. Yeah, still definitely missing. Oh, got worse. That means it's the coil pack. Alright, we've got 4 fresh coils on it, lifetime warranty, just to nip it in the butt. We're going to start it up and make sure it's not still missing, because the spark plugs are new. Also, I did them about a month ago, maybe. That's all she really had money for, and that's all she really wanted to try, because she knew they were old and needed to be replaced anyway. But still missing, and it looks like it could have been this coil the whole time, or it was this one over here actually. So let's see what happens. Oh, it's purring. I can feel it right away just sitting in the car. No more missing. So we're gonna clear the codes and let her take it home. That was an easy one. So random misfire, code 300. Then there was 301, 302, 303, 304. 5 codes, all just about misfire and on every cylinder. So here's my theory. The one cylinder was dead, so it's dumping raw fuel into the exhaust, and the computer sees it in the O2 sensors and is trying to lean out the whole engine, causing everything else to misfire. What do you guys think? Well, that's going to do it though. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. It's going to be a small or a short one, wasn't it? So I guess always check the basics first. Let's move on and see if we can do a little something else with the pickup truck, make this video a little longer. In the meantime, please like, please subscribe, please hit the bell, leave a comment, and we're not doing peace just yet. Okay, so here's what we got. Fuel tank is strapped up with straps, ratchet straps. That can't really stay that way forever, obviously, but more immediately we got to get the purge stuff going on and hooked back up, because it's not hooked up. This isn't hooked up, and that obviously can't be if we're going to pass smog. On the interior, I'm currently making brackets too for the seats, so I'll have some fresh, cool looking racing seats in there. They're cheap, you know, but they're kind of cool looking too for now. I was able to get power back to the cab with the original harness to this truck, the power cable to this truck. It has a smaller gauge wire that I was able to use right here and connect to this third port in from the left on the very bottom, and that was where, you know, the big giant red wire was coming out of the harness that came out. So I thought, well, maybe that's all I need to do. Sure enough, I've got power to the whole cab, or at least I've got windows and locks, and the dash comes on. I don't know about HVAC yet, and hoping I got lights. We just got to hook up the harness for the headlights first, and we can get the actual headlights on, then we can put the grill on, or vice versa, whichever. But I want to get the front end back together with the harness in place. Alright, got the wiring harness in, and the lower valance is on now. I can start hooking up the grill, because that clips into the valance. And then if you had a center support, there'd be one screw there too. But we're almost there. Lights are next. Alright, now these can go in. We just gotta keep our headlight plugs hanging out up top here. Alright, headlight plugged in. We can slide this guy right into place here. Thank goodness that worked. Put these bolts in somehow. Alright, let's see if they all work. Oh, I might need to connect some grounds. Hang on. Alright, take 2. Let's try this again. Oh. No headlights. Alright, now that we got some daylight again, the harness, the lower half is plugged back in just to get this cord. So the one I kind of slung over from the battery and plugged in is still being used. That's what this wire did and still does again now. But that's going back over here, over to the junction, the original junction block, or whatever this is called, right here. And then this block is getting power from the battery, from the cord that I had running over to there in the first place. Now it just goes to here. And now these other two wires that are hooked up to power are supposed to go in the cab through this harness. And as you can see, I cut everything off of this harness because everything else is just engine controls, except for these two large wires that originally came from this block. Because those two large wires power this harness, plugs in right there and plugs in right there. And they give power to the dash and the cab lights and I think heater and radio and stuff like that. So yeah, you gotta have that plugged in too. Now that we've got everything figured out as far as what needs power for everything to run in there and everything to run out here, ideally the thing to do would be pull the motor back out and then rewire the harness now to fit the truck, you know what I mean? Lay it all in place where it's supposed to be, because it can't sit like this. This is just to get it running. But my idea to clean a lot of this up is to move the battery inside, computer and everything inside. We'll put a new hole right through the center, and all the engine harness will come out of the center while the battery and everything else is secure inside the dry area. And I want to put the battery right here, computer right there, HVAC controls, the whole black box is coming out. This will never have heater or AC again. It's in the way of the pedal anyway. It got hung up and that got scary. That was fun. Well, I got the front lights on and the grill, and they're working now with all the power going to everything. So that's a plus. We just got to get the tail lights going, but to do that, I got to get the bedside on. And I've got a plan, because the steel box isn't going back on, which is what these bedsides bolt to, causes a bit of a problem. But you see these 4 bolt holes here where they would bolt to the bedside, and that's a tongue twister. You can see the unpainted flange on both sides there. I'm just going to take a saw and cut those off, and I'll put it on the inside here just like it would go normally. But now I'll get an aluminum spacer. I'll just use some washers for now to take up this thickness here, because it's got I need a spacer to go from here to meet the cab. And then the bolts will go through the cab, through the spacer, through the bed side, and into the pieces, the strips that cut off of the bed over there. And that will sandwich it to the cab, and then I just got to figure out some like pencil rod supports for the rear of them. And I'm working on tabs here for little feet and some square tubing, and then we can use that to make legs for the new seats. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Please stay tuned, like and subscribe and hit the bell and all that stuff so you stay up to date. Liking and super thanks really helps me out too. Please do that. You know, this channel needs to grow, or can't grow without your help, and it always needs to grow a little bit more, or we can get that lift up in the back. Got to pour some concrete, help a guy out. But until next time, peace.